Welcome back to the Telosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be jumping around a bit today. I apologize in advance, but hey, we do read the comments. Randy's back, so you're
I
welcome.
mean, to be fair, I apologize that I was Starlinking all last week for both podcasts, so
That was a
apologies
bad
on that.
connection. My goodness.
My my
Horrible.
contorted face, worst time to have a contorted face. Anyway,
But you were shocked. You were shocked. Now
I
we've
was
got your
shocked the whole
connection
time.
working.
The stuff that came out of Nick's mouth and the things he was breaking on tech, I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Some things never change, may I say, even if he has uh uh. I already forgot the name of his car.
Red Drift. No, it's
Red Shift.
Red Shift. Yeah, because of
Yeah.
how light
Yes.
works.
I'm gonna tell you guys this right now on air, just because, and we're EVs or whatever, and Nick was here, so it's applicable. Uh, Typical Anne Sweeney fashion. I'm hanging out with him tonight. He flies in tonight.
What? Oh,
Lucky.
I didn't know this. You should have told me. I would have driven out.
No, is that right?
Yeah, it's a quick little
I'm looking at
stroll
your
down
charge brick
the
right
interstate.
now. I'm looking at it right now. Mm.
I bet it's enjoying that house.
I wish I used it more, but anyway.
Were you as surprised as me, Randy, with the price they got that car? $19,000.
Here's the
for a
thing that
Model
he
3.
didn't tell y'all. He called me and asked me how to negotiate.
At a dealership.
Hand to God.
So now
Hand to
you're
God.
taking credit.
I'll call him right now if he wasn't working. I'm not shocked because that was the price I told him to get it at.
Mm,
I helped them
Wow.
negotiate that price. Dealerships are scummy. They're pieces of everything bad. And unfortunately, I've been on this earth a little bit longer than most, that I've encountered more dealership haggling.
Not more than Jimmy Carter.
Happy birthday to Jimmy Carter, by the way. 100 years old.
There's a few
Triple
times,
digits.
Mike, that I wish you were still on Twitter. And 2 days ago was one of those days. Somebody tagged me and said, Randy, you know what to do. But anyway,
Almost
going
as
back to
old
the
as
pricing.
Ford.
Yeah, going back to the pricing though, what I was shocked is how I was shocked, Mike, but for different reasons. I wasn't shocked that he got it for that price, because I was shocked how little educated the salesperson and the whole dealership, for that matter, because it has to go through a chain: sales rep, manager, finance. Nobody knew what the heck they were talking about. And I told Nick to use that to his advantage, because I said, look, because they came at him in the negotiations. They said it's only had one owner, and he said yes, but that one owner had over at least 1,000 different butts in that seat, driving it at least 1,000 different ways. So all the mileage here is very hard for me to really gauge how healthy this Model 3 really is. And we actually like use mileage. They're old school. They're legacy people. They think mileage counts for something. He's like, so with all this stuff, like, I'm taking a risk here because it's had all these different people using this car for the last 3 years. So with that, blah, 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 blah. And the guy was like, okay, fine, we'll do it for this amount. I was like, he was my test. He was my guinea pig. After that worked, I was like, I'm about to go buy a used Model 3 fleet.
So you have this combination of dealerships are terrible and scummy, but also
Stupid.
I got the best deal in the world from a dealer.
They're also stupid.
I somehow got the best deal in the world from a dealer, and I didn't even try that hard, but it's only because the car was sitting there for about 3 years on their lot and no one wanted it. So like, I'll take it out of your hands for was it like, I think I haggled like 5,000 down on the asking price, and like, sure, take it. We don't want it anymore.
Wow.
Do you think in the future, maybe even the near future, with Mach E Mustangs and Bolts and all these other legacy autos that have EVs out there, do you think in the future dealerships will be more trained and equipped to be able to handle the sales part of used EVs, or do you think it's still kind of in this weird, I wouldn't say hybrid, but right now I feel the most comfortable buying a used EV from the manufacturer, even if that means I'm paying a little bit more, or I would buy from somebody more or less, not that I know, but I'm able to vet that vehicle. I wouldn't just buy from a random person who's selling their EV. I would have some hesitations on reliability or even authenticating of certain factors. But do you think when it comes to most people who want to like go into a CarMax or whatever the case may be, do you guys feel like we'll get to the point where EVs will be just as knowledgeable to that side of the industry that they can sell it, or do you think they're just going to be like, yeah, we have an EV on the lot, we don't really know what to do, like they do with the Ford Lightning, and people will maybe end up paying a premium or maybe not pay, get really good deals like Nick? What do you guys think how the used industry when it comes to buying one is going to look like within the next, I don't know, 3 to 7 years?
That's a good question. I think with time they'll have some understanding, but I don't think it'll be to the level, of course, that we have in terms of, especially in these early days, right? It's still early days for EVs. And just like you said, in coaching Nick, you knew what was happening or possibly happening to that Model 3 and using that to your advantage in the asking price for the vehicle. And so with that, that was, I think, a special case, right? Because you had it as pretty much a taxi with a whole bunch of butts in the seats. But for trying to sell just any regular EV, it'll be interesting to see. I think my answer is I don't know because they're very traditional. Dealers are very traditional, and it's very much not it's more of a business environment and not necessarily one that you can understand by maybe not passion or logic, but more of like it's all about the name of the game in terms of the asking price for the vehicle. And so I think that could be adapted to EVs. It's just in what way and how quick will that happen for the modern take on EVs with Legacy Auto? I'm not too sure.
I think they will catch up. I think it's just a matter of time. Eventually, EVs are just going to be cars, and the longer people have experience with them, the longer people are driving them around, they'll figure out what their pros and cons are. I wouldn't be shocked if a decade from now you can find really, really cheap EVs that have the CCS1 port, and that's why they're so cheap. Everyone's going to be like, okay, it has CCS, but I found it for like $7,000. That's amazing. That's such a good deal. Like they'll be the bottom of the barrel, like there's an adapter, but it works, kind of mentality with them. You
Yeah.
already see it if you watch certain channels. Like I know the Fort Collins Kia group has been known for incredible electric vehicle lease deals and offering them to anybody in the country. Even if you're outside Colorado, they'll ship it to you and stuff. So I think at least right now, when EVs are still kind of new and I hesitate to say unproven because they are proven, but it's more like unaware for a lot of the public, like how they work and what their advantages are. There's way more people doing lease deals now because the demand for buying them outright has pulled back a lot since a couple of years ago. So that's making a lot of people go, well, hey, I don't know how long the battery's going to last, but it'll probably last 3 years. So I'll just do a 3-year lease, and then I can give it back to the dealer, give it back to the manufacturer when I'm done with it, and I'll save a bunch of money on fuel in the meantime. And then maybe in 3 years, if I really love the car, I could buy it out at the end of the lease, or I can commit to a newer one that has NACS or whatever. So at least right now, I can see why. Like I remember when we visited you out in Colorado, we saw Nissan Arias everywhere. And I've seen several people online post about how the lease deals on the Nissan Aria were like amazing. And it's probably because the Aria buying it outright in cash is just not very reasonable. It's like, it's not a great range. It's not a great charging curve. It's a fine vehicle, but it's just kind of okay. But what really started moving inventory, I think, was like people were getting them, I think, for like $200 a month lease. And a lot of people were paying more than that just in gasoline. So that's a pretty smoking good deal of like, yeah, this thing will get
Yeah.
me where I need to go as a commuter around town and stuff for the next 3 years for 200 a month. I'll take it. That, like, even if I lose that money, I don't have ownership in the vehicle. It's so little money. And electricity, as you guys know, is so cheap out there. So yeah, it made a lot of sense, I think, to lease right now for many people who are just like, I want to get to know EVs, but I don't want to commit to one like with a big down payment yet.
They'll
But
date
I
them,
do
but they're
think,
not ready to marry them.
yeah, exactly. They're not ready to buy the ring. But
That's right.
I think it makes a lot of sense right now, just because in a couple of years, I think this whole charging infrastructure thing is going to be a lot more streamlined. I think by what will be 2027, most EVs, at least in America, will probably have NACS. There will be a lot more NACS cables on chargers, and the charging networks will be open and stuff. And I do think that's kind of one of the biggest hurdles with EV adoption, is everybody figuring out exactly how this whole charging infrastructure works. I think the car stuff is relatively simple. I mean, it's an EV. You go, there's less maintenance. It's simple. It's pretty intuitive. It's the, will I be stranded if I go X many miles? That's, I think, what's the bigger holdup with most people. But yeah, dealers will get better at understanding how to service them, how to sell them. There's already companies that are kind of specializing in extended warranty programs, which I'm sure dealers could get into, because as we've experienced, there's still service that needs to be done on EVs. It's not zero service,
Oh,
but
I have to tell you guys a story. It's been so long since I've done an EV podcast with you guys. Um, it's very bad. It's actually it's got
uh-oh,
resolved, and then part two kind of happened this morning when I went to go to drop my son off.
yikes.
So after you guys have left, uh, there is my Model Y screen stopped working completely, and
Oh, that's a problem.
it happened over and over and over again. And we had to take it to a service center. I was like, "Can you guys come out here? I don't feel safe driving it on the road." And they're like, "Oh." So we had to go out there. They fixed it. Then it happened again this morning, but this time I was able to reset on the two balls. Um, it was so bad. There is no hard reset. I could not do it, and there was no forum link, topic,
Wait,
discussion,
the screen is
nothing.
frozen, like it's showing the same thing?
Frozen, showing the same thing. Up until
Okay.
then, it just also went completely black. And no
Ooh,
matter what I did, whenever I went to hold down the two ball wheels, and then with or without the brake on, it would go "Padoop," error came up, and then it just wouldn't restart it. There was nothing I could do. It
dang.
was broken. The Model Y did that. It'd been like that for 2 weeks. Mainly because that's how long it took to get in to get people to look at it. They fixed it this week, Monday, and it happened again this morning. And I was like,
Oy.
they're like, There's a firmware update. We fixed it, but they did all these things and nothing fixed it." So anyway, um, issues that made me go like, "Ah," that I did not like what I was feeling these past 2 weeks with the Model Y. I was like, I
Welcome to
gotta
the
dump
club,
this thing.
Randy.
I gotta dump this thing. Model 3 has never given me these issues. I gotta ditch this thing.
Model 3, represent. I gotta go.
Yeah.
All right, Drew. See
Enjoy.
you later.
I'll be back later.
Okay.
Bye.
Good luck.
Drew is leaving so he can he's a busy man, and we're
He's got a
recording in the
business meeting because he's big businessman now,
he's big businessman.
which is
But
fine.
yeah, that happened.
That's a bummer,
And
Randy.
yeah,
So there's still no fix yet besides,
no, it's fixed, but it happened again this morning.
yeah. So it's not
But
fixed
then
yet.
it resolved itself with resetting the screen.
Okay.
So
So I
at
guess the
least
next
that
question
worked.
is, if it keeps happening, then it needs to be serviced. But I would say with the that's something that I had to do for a while as a band-aid fix, because I think I mentioned on a previous podcast with mine, the Sentry mode recorder would show that there's nothing connected, even though I'm driving and I can see that there's a USB plugged in. I haven't touched
Yeah.
anything, and I have to hard reset it with the 2 scroll wheels.
Yeah.
And it would then, after the screen went black for about 30 seconds or whatever, and it came back on, it was fine. So there is some weird software issue. Yours is on a different chip than mine, I believe. Yours is on hardware. No, is it on 3 or 4?
I believe it's 3.
Okay.
How would I verify? Can I see that in the app?
I don't know where to look for that, honestly.
I think it's 3, but it might be. I mean, it's a little over a year old now.
Mhm.
I I picked it up March 31 or April 1, I don't remember, of last year. So whatever that is, if you can fact
Hardware
or
3 was from 2017 to 2023.
yes.
Of
Well,
the
wait, when? But when? Oh man, I don't know because I picked it
Right.
up in 23.
And 2024 was hardware 4.
Oh, so all of 2023 was hardware 3?
I think so. That's what AI overview Google says.
No, I don't trust that.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't trust what AI
Maybe
what
it's
AI
somewhere built
is
into the
Google is telling you.
Yeah, I got no clue. But that
Yeah.
is a bummer. I totally understand and get the problem because I had something similar, though. What's nice, at least with your car, is you have the uh technically the gear selection or the direct whatever. What if you want to go park, reverse, neutral, or drive on the base of your phone charger location on the Y. So you've got that going for you. I think I forget if that's in mine as well, but not in that location. It might be in another location. But at least you have that, so it doesn't feel like you're just stuck. Though to be fair, mentioning that was it when Drew and I were visiting, you never really used the maps. So the only thing that the screen was used for was maybe music and
We
maybe
used
some
the
other
maps
controls.
when we went to well, okay, hang on. In the bigger context of it, I don't use the maps when I'm just going to my daily moving around stuff because I know how to get there.
Okay.
I
You
don't
don't want
I
Google
don't
telling you how to get there because you know how to get there.
yes. I feel like we had this conversation, right?
We
We did
probably
have this
did.
conversation. We had this conversation. I was like, wait a minute, in Castle Rock. I remember we were talking about this in Castle Rock. I don't like being told. It's not that I don't like it. I've tested something and time again, my tests come back what my preconceived notion was with it, which is that I know better routing than the GPS does,
Mhm.
especially on a Google Maps. Like, not because I'm an Apple fanboy or nothing like that. I genuinely do not like Google Maps. I hate it. I don't
Mhm.
like the UI. Not talking about the UI. The UI is fine. All the UIs are great. I mean, it's actual routing is literal number 2 diapers crap. It
Wow.
sucks so bad. I hate it, and I hate using it on my Tesla. So when I don't have to, I won't. I'll give you just a few examples. One, when I did route, and you guys were with us, like when we went to Rudy's or Guardian of the Gods or whatever, um, I knew those routes. I understood what the routes I was looking at, but there was other routes I could have taken that would have gotten me there quicker. There are times, so many times where I'll be riding separate cars, but I'll be riding with my brother and he
Mhm.
has Apple Maps and he has a whole different route and he'll pivot. He'll take that route and not we won't ride together. And he either gets there around the same time, maybe even sooner. But the fact that we don't even get those options on the navigating screens of like, oh hey, here are your different options. I don't like. I don't like using the built-in routing. I will use it for longer trips if we're going, to the airport or we're going out into the mountains or what like something just kind of genuine like generally guide me or give me a general ETA. I
Mhm.
don't mind it then, but I don't rely on it. So every time I'm using the routing and the routing I know is wrong and I'll take a different route, the moment I reroute myself,
Mhm.
my ETA drops by a couple minutes. It happened when I went to I went on the other side of town for something. I don't remember what it was, but I went on the other side of town and it said it was going to be like 23 minutes. I'm like, I can get there quicker. I know there's a way I can. I've been here long enough. I now know, like, I know I can get there quicker. I took a different route. It went from 23 to like 18. So it shaved off 5 minutes.
Randy took that GTA shortcut through someone's yard.
I had to wait until my stars cooled down. So I don't like the navigating systems. I do use it as an infotainment center. I would be open-minded to using. I don't even like the UI for the moving vehicles, if I'm being honest with you. It's kind of distracting.
Mhm.
But like I tolerate it's all fine. It's just I, I would love to see Tesla offer different navigating options. If not, I'm not even saying use Apple's Maps services. I'm saying even on Google Maps, the stock app gives you different routing options.
Mhm.
I want that. I want options. Give me options because I know my routes better than Google does, and because I
Sure.
don't have premium connectivity on my Model 3, I don't see the traffic, even though I know where there's traffic. But what it never accounts for is when there's road work happening or there's traffic. It doesn't. It'll still route me there, and so then it has me sitting in like dead stop traffic for no reason because I took a route that has road work happening. That
Mhm.
it should know there's road work happening, and I could have taken a different road, avoiding that. I don't like it. I don't like using the navigation. So whenever I can
Sure.
avoid it, going back to your initial statement, yes, I will disregard it because I trust me. I trust my intuition in reading the road better than I trust the computer just giving me this one. Here's your only option.
Mhm.
Um, so actually, if I'm being honest with you too, when my screen went black with the Model Y, uh, for about almost a week when we were driving it. Very little did we drive it, but we did. Brittany would have up the Waze app, and so at least that one gave live general. It's not perfect, but it gave a live enough speedometer,
Mhm.
so we could use that to just see how fast we were going.
Sure.
And using Waze and or Apple Maps for different routings, I was like, man, I miss this. I want this on a big screen. Just I want Waze. I really like Waze a lot. I would rather use Waze. I would use Apple Maps. I would use any other option. I would use a better Google Maps if it gave me different routes. I just don't like what Tesla's doing with it. It's too, I don't know. It feels like it's 5 years behind now. I feel like it was appropriate for 2019.
Mhm.
I feel like in 2024, we should have had better map integrations by now for GPS, in my opinion.
Sure. Though that would cost money for them to license it with other companies as well. So I'd only expect prices for premium connectivity and or other services to likely skyrocket a bit more to account for that deal that they'd make with other companies.
No, I'm saying just update Google Maps to give you a more vibrant routing experience.
Okay, so work with Google then to provide a quality product then inside your
Yeah,
vehicle.
the one that we have right now, the stock navigation is getting worse and worse for me. I just don't. I'm not enjoying it. It's not working right in the sense of like the routing.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like in 2024, people complain about on consumer tech with iPhones. They're like a 60 hertz display in 2024 is a deal breaker. Always say that. I don't care about that, but that's exactly how I feel about GPS routing systems in 2024. A GPS in 2024 should give you multiple options so
Mhm.
that way you know what you're working with.
You want the Android of Teslas in terms of
Well, I know
routing.
they're not going to do iOS, so yeah, I'll take a more stock Android experience with
Mhm.
Google. Um, this proprietary UI thing, even if they do that, like however they work out that on the back end, do what you got to do. But um,
This opens the paths to many questions that I have, but to somewhat conclude, part of this is my experience has been usually in the morning, I just let it route me to work. And then even with the new FSD update, it's pretty much driving me to work, which is great. Very little intervention with like changing lanes and all that. I think that's the most I have to do is no, get in the far right lane because you're gonna have to turn. Don't wait until the last second, or changing the
okay,
speed because of whoever hooligans are on the road at the time, whether they're going slow or fast. But
right,
otherwise, it pretty much drives me, and I kind of like its nonsensical choices in the morning because I don't have to think and there's not too many people on the road. So I don't have to worry about inconveniencing other drivers and or putting my car and myself at risk because road's pretty much wide open. So I usually let it do all the navigating and driving for me in the morning. In the evening, though, I totally agree with you because I ignore it entirely. And actually, I use it as a gauge for seeing, oh, your ETA to get home is at like 6:30 or something like that. And then as I take the GTA unequivocal route that the map isn't even picking up on, which is more like city streets or whatever, which is even better for the car because EVs do a lot better in stop and go uh, city traffic or at least like non-highway driving. That
Which is weird, right? Because people think that like, oh, you want to have a consistent speed with because in gas that helps you not rev and so you're not burning as much. But with
Mhm,
EVs, it has nothing to do with that. It's literally speed, only
mhm.
speed. If you go in city routes, you're not depleting your battery as quickly. Sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
it's
say that.
aero and regen and a lot of other factors as well. But
I
yeah,
love the regen. Yeah.
and so taking that route, I see it go from 6:30 to 6:29, 6:28. It's a fun game that I play only
Yeah.
because I don't want to go on the highway and sit and stop and go parking lot level traffic where
I
people
can
are
only
trying to merge
imagine the
on each
type
other.
of traffic you're dealing with too. Jeez.
It's Bay Area, so it's everywhere. I've got a buddy who commutes, I think, about an hour to it's an hour drive from his house to work. But because of traffic, it pretty much uh, increases it by 50%, and sometimes might even double it, depending on the
Wow.
traffic situation. And
Yeah.
so Bay Area can be like that, but unfortunately, he's in a location where he can't really take city streets to get around it. But in my case, I can. There's a lot of different
Right.
routes I can use to get home, and the one that I usually take allows me to see a lot more things and enjoy the ride a lot more, and also gamify the route home. And so yeah, it's not really a huge sticking point for me, but and then to close out the rest of this conversation, unless you want to comment on that, with these service visits, have you thought about fixing the interior camera that's looking at you so that way you can use FSD, or is that not on the docket at all?
You little mind reader, you. I was actually just thinking about that. I I think they're still gonna fix it for free because there's a ticket that's been out there for a long time, and they told me
Mhm.
that it was gonna be free. I it's weird because now, sorry, my throat is itchy. I need a cough. Give me one second. Sorry about that.
Totally fine.
Um, now I wouldn't use FSD, and I haven't, and I don't, and I won't continue to not. I will continue to not use FSD in
Mhm.
its current state with my son in the car for obvious reasons.
Sure.
I don't like that. Um, but now he's going to school 3 days out of the week, which means those 3 days I have a lot more freedom to navigate within my car. It made me think that I find myself when I'm driving by myself now, I'm like, do I want to try FSD now? Now that
Mhm.
I don't feel like I don't got the parent hat on, it's me being just a tech enthusiast again with software. I'm like, do I want to try this again? And I've never been shut off to it. I just like the stuff that happened with Drew, plus my
Mhm.
own experience, plus the cabin cam just not working. Like I just was like, "Ah, whatever. I don't care. I don't care because
Sure.
I can't really use it anyway because with I got my kid in the car most of the time. Uh, Now that's kind of shifting a little bit. I don't have them in the car most of the time.
Mhm.
They're out the week. Um,
I have been enjoying the newest version of FSD, where it's hands off pretty much. But in the case that it can't see your eyes,
are
it
you on
defaults.
15, 14,
I
14,
forget the
right?
version of it now, and my phone's acting as a camera right now. But I'm on the newest version, as far as I can tell. Nick
Nick is
noted
too, yeah, that
it's
blew
the
my
one that
mind.
has actual smart summon in it, and Nick
Yeah,
noted it in last week's podcast near the end that he got the update and he was doing it at that moment. I got it later that night, or at least I didn't notice it
he
until later that night.
he got because I remember asking this because my FSD is 12.5. and he was 12.6 or 12. I think he's 12.6,
A version ahead.
and I was like, wait, how? And he's like, because I have hardware 4. I was like, oh, and but he didn't get the actual smart summon, the ass, if you will. Which is weird though. Really quickly, hang on, before I even talk more about that. Don't we have access to the smart summon from with our betas FSD all these years? Don't we? Didn't we have
We've
that?
had smart summon, yeah. What ended up, if you recall this whole narrative, eventually smart summon came, and you had the option to either hold your finger on the button or just press the button and let
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
And then the newer Teslas are coming out without the radar, I believe,
Right.
and
No.
so
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
that
Right.
pretty
Yeah.
much killed smart summon for them because our cars were using it. And then I think at some point, so again, I didn't follow the narrative too much. Drew would have better answers for this, but of course, audience, you can correct us in the comments. But if I recall correctly, mine still works, or it's kept on working, or it went away and then came back after a bit. But this most recent one brings that feature back, or brings it to those that have just they don't have the radar, they just have ultrasonics and cameras, and
Yes.
it behaves somewhat. I haven't tried it yet, but from what I've heard, it behaves somewhat close to what it did before. But yeah, I believe that's the lick of it. But we've had it, and then it
Yeah.
got taken away from us, I believe, for a brief period, or it
Yeah.
just didn't work. But then it came back,
Oh,
and
that
that's
sounds
like
so
our
familiar.
viewpoint of it.
Yeah.
And uh, smart summon's great. It's just I never really trust it, and now it forces you to hold your butt, or your butt holds forces you to hold your finger on the button for smart summon to work, and which I think is a great choice, because when smart summon first came out, people were crashing their cars, or the cars was crashing themselves into other people's vehicles or trees or anything like that. And then people were getting angry. It's like, well, it says in
I've
the byline, pay attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but
But that
that's
kills
just
the idea of like the
yeah.
car can drive itself
It
to.
exempts them from legal liability only, and that's all that meant.
Yeah.
I've never not had mine programmed to where I've always wanted to hold it. I
Mhm.
don't trust it. Not only that, it's not
It's a nice kill switch.
it it's not exactly. It's not even uh the dead man switch.
Yeah.
It's not even that I don't want it to crash into other cars, if I'm being honest. I'm more selfish than that. It's that I don't want my car to get scratched. If I'm being
Yes.
completely like, I don't care about anybody else's car. That's the God's honest truth. It was my car that I cared about scratching. So I held on to it, and I always had line of sight, direct line of sight on my car when I was doing it,
Mhm.
because I didn't trust anything else. So I've never not had it where I had to hold it, because that made me feel safe. And if something happened, or like, oh crap, and I can let go really quickly, then it's done. It was always responsive that way. So I'm very indifferent about smart summon. I like smart summon, I do, but I'm indifferent about using it. Period, because I noticed what you were just kind of explaining. Like over the last couple of years, it got really bad. It got really worse.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, whatever. If they're turning off the radar, lidar, whatever, if they're turning off all these DARs, then I'm like, man, what's the point? So back to your original question about fixing my cabin cam.
Mhm.
I feel more incentivized, but here's where I'm stuck at, my fork in the road.
Don't run
And
it over.
I'm gonna be very upfront about this. If I'm not working a job that involves me being at a physical location, a site location, and I'm just here, I don't really see myself using it or needing it, because like this is a rhetorical question, because only I know the answer, but why would I need to use FSD if I'm just home all the time?
Sure.
What routes? You've been to my house now. Target's right here. Costco's right here. My Kroger's equivalent is right here.
Your whole
Safeway's right here.
ecosystem is pretty close.
It's right here. The thing that I would actually have to do a longer commute is if I wanted to go to the Apple Store, and that's a luxury thing. That's not a real thing.
Mhm.
Um, I, the stuff that I need for my genuine day to day, I did this by design. I bought this house and everything by design because I wanted close proximity for the convenience factor of having a new baby, you know?
Mhm.
I can't afford to be gone for on the road for 15 minutes or something like that. So everything is really close by. So minus the let's go on hikes, trails, let's go to a nice barbecue spot, let's go do, minus all that stuff, I don't see myself driving that far, and that was intentional. So if I'm not working at a job that requires me to be there in a physical location, why do I need to use FSD now? And I asked that question to me because when I bought FSD back in 2019, 2019 was a different time.
Mhm.
As I've told before, I was working. I was working. I was a contractor. I did all these things, traveling. Life pre-COVID was a whole different Randy, um, and everything that happened after 2020 just kind of I changed. I've had many times I've been on the record saying this that I kind of regret buying a Tesla altogether because my whole life changed after COVID, and
Mhm.
um, it's just I've adapted and adjusted to it, but I don't know why I need it now. Doesn't mean I don't want it. I'm not taking wants aside. That'd be cool and all, but if I'm gonna take the time and invest the time to do all that stuff, is it worth it now? And I don't. Not worth it in the sense that the software is good. Is it worth my time? Is it worth me even pursuing anymore? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not burnt out on my car just yet. There are quirks I don't like about it, like GPS, for example, but I'm not at the
Mhm.
point where I'm ready to get rid of it. I'm
Sure.
not there. So
I feel like that might get, and this is where I kind of want to steer it as well, is that there's not necessarily a bit of hypocrisy in that statement from you, but I do identify that this is a sticking point for you, that you don't have options for different maps.
yeah,
But your next vehicle that you can foresee getting is a company that doesn't want to do anything else besides offer their own version of maps as well, right? Being Rivian. I don't think, I forget who, it's either Google or another company that they partner with. It's not Apple, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it's Google.
Yeah. And so
I'm
it'd be the same
fairly confident.
problem where
Yeah,
you're
no, and
stuck
to
with
be honest
Google
with you,
again
maybe
on the
that's why
Rivian.
I haven't pulled the trigger on trying to get an R1T just yet. Maybe there are many factors, dude. I think about like it really depends what time of the day you want to ask me. Remember we played the game? What Tesla is Drew gonna get this time? What's he feeling this week? Does he want a three or a Y? We used to play that game. Um, Now I feel like, do I just want to get a car that has a good control center equivalent? What I call control center. A good infotainment center, I care more. I care more about the interior, the cabin. I care more about the driver's experience than I
Mhm.
do about the specs of the vehicle, if I'm completely upfront about that. I don't care what the car looks like. I don't care how the car really performs because all vehicles are better than being on feet, so I don't really care. I
Mhm.
care about the comfortability of the driver. If you are the operator of the vehicle, I care more about having the pilot experience. I'm sitting there driving, and I'm as comfortable and undistracted as possible.
Mhm.
Um, so there are things about Rivian, even I'm like, well, that's going to be annoying, and I can see past the.
So
I'm
funny
not.
enough,
Look at this.
Rivian doesn't use Google.
They don't.
They use Mapbox, which is a company that I've not heard of, but offers an experience
Is
that
that the real UI of a Rivian's GPS?
possibly so. I haven't been in Rivian in a while. I've been meaning to, with their new incentive where they can offer test drives at not just showrooms, but also service centers. I've been meaning to. It's just I've been busy. But the way that they're advertising it on the Mapbox website, it looks very impressive with both the UI on
I
the
guess it
vehicle and
does.
also the visuals of like a semi 3D, was that an isomorphic map? And it's got
Ooh, I
some
like that
information as
word.
well. And you can either, they show it in different forms on the Rivian, and then they show it like on an iPad. Uh, I believe they have below like trusted by industry leaders, and they list GM, BMW, Toyota, and all that.
Wait, go down.
Sure.
I like how you bypass CNN. Nobody trusts CNN.
I'm not mentioning there. I'm focusing on car companies.
I'm curious why T-Mobile's on there.
I don't know. There's
I
customer
use
stories.
T-Mobile.
Yeah.
I use the Weather Channel. No, I don't. I mean, I use the Weather Channel because that's what the weather app uses.
Mhm.
But why T-Mobile? I don't know. But
I'm not too sure.
so what's this company called? Mapbox?
Mapbox, and that's who pretty much gives Rivian their navigation. Where I guess they also put in Toyotas as well. So if you're familiar with Toyota's interface,
Oh, dude, my favorite car was a Toyota. It was a Scion. We talked about this, I think. I loved my Scion. That was my favorite car. I loved that
looks
car.
like they have pricing options as well. You can also get started for free. So I guess there's a free version, and then there's different tiers for options and all that for buying
Looks
it.
like Mapbox is strictly enterprise because it says for business.
Yeah, and which I think is maybe a lot better because even
That
though it'd
right
be nice
there.
to load it. Mm-hmm.
The UI, was that not CarPlay at the very beginning? Hang on. I'll call it, right? Keep going. It's past that. Right. Go back. Right. Keep almost there. Oh, wait, that.
It looks close to it.
Is that not CarPlay?
It might be something that rivals it. In which
That looks sick.
they've got like the Tesla yoke right here. So of course this is fake, but like they got the Tesla yoke and they have a edge to edge, I guess, width of car screen that has a whole bunch of
Just
different
like the
information.
gradient of how you can see the city, and then it transitions to the next thing, and it has that gradient blur that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Also integration.
And look, wait, your GPS
charging.
You showed it. It showed different routes, right there.
Charging station nearby. So it's saying, hey, if you need to charge, there's a blink charger right here that you could turn in about 650 feet.
Listen, if they offer different routes, you have my attention. And if that's a Rivian, then shoot. R1T, R3, R2, who knows? Wow.
Yeah, offering different options is definitely
it is a sticking point for me. I don't. You know me better than most. My personality type is that of that. Like I don't depend on tech like that. I can appreciate tech. I don't depend on tech like that. I try not to. It's an active exercise to always try to wean yourself from tech the same way you would want to wean yourself from social media, for example.
Sure.
What the hell?
And somehow Drew came back. But like I was saying, it's great that Mapbox is a thing, but as far as I can tell from some of the additional reading that I did during our small little pause right there, is that Mapbox is used for navigating and all that, but they do have a Google API for looking for certain destinations, and then the Google API then routes that, I guess, navigational location, I guess, whatever that's called, coordinates to Mapbox, and then Mapbox then navigates. But from a bunch of the stuff that I've looked at, people don't really like Mapbox in terms of a navigational offering. So I think it's running to the same issue that I think we were talking about before, Randy, where using Google Maps can be a headache. But if there's a worse option out there, and it might be Mapbox, you could put yourself into a situation where you're just going to be using Waze on your phone anyways, because now you've got something that is even more
worse.
Maybe not terrible, but not as accurate as a navigational software that you need for getting around town.
Yeah. Well, anywho, enough with the whole. What's up, Drew?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, Drew.
What? I missed
really
something. It's weird.
Did.
I just step out for a brief 45 minutes and I have no clue what you're talking about. This
We
looks
actually
like
didn't get too far from the topic.
it's trying to be CarPlay. Is it not?
That's what I
Randy
said. I was
saying.
like, is this not CarPlay?
It's got some decent integration in it.
Can you summarize it in 10 seconds? What is it?
This is a different routing. This is a different GPS system that Rivian
But it's not a
uses.
hardware?
No, this is an API that that Rivian is using for theirs. They don't use Google. However, we just, as Mike was explaining, these guys use Google. All roads lead back to Google.
Well, they use Google for if you're trying to find a location on the earth that you want to navigate to.
Okay, all right.
And then it routes that position to Mapbox, which then navigates you. And which in these nice visuals, it does look like CarPlay and all that. But the reality of it pretty much is what we see in Rivians and what we've seen also in Toyotas.
Hang on, Mike. I realized what Drew is actually, without him asking, I know what he's asking. What we were talking, the context of this is that my biggest gripe I have with Tesla, because Mike noted that I wasn't using my GPS a lot, and I told him, yes, you're right, I don't, and part of it is that I'm old school. I try not to use it because I know that GPS isn't always reliable with the accurate routing, and I've had
around here it sucks. It's terrible.
Dude, around here it sucks.
That's why if I know where I'm going, I will not plug in the destination. My wife likes plugging it in too, but we still ignore it because we know it's routing us on a road that's terrible. And
to that point, the one thing I wish Tesla would implement is a multi-route option. I'm not even saying don't use Google Maps. I'm saying give me the option the way Google Maps would give you the options to, like, do you want this route, that route? Because it will take me a route that I now know.
Does that?
You what?
Does it not? When you guys type in a destination, I get multiple options on the Tesla.
I get 2, and that's it.
I get 1. And I know there's more than one option. And the example I was saying is that it'll say 23 minutes to get somewhere, and I know that's not the best route. I'll take a different route. Like I said, route and route interchangeably like that.
I don't like it.
No, I was ignoring you.
Wow. Oh, is it Friday already?
Wow.
I would go and take a different navigating path, and it went from 23 minutes to 18 minutes. And so I'm like, I shaved off 5 minutes from a route that I knew. And so I was like, I don't like it. And then Mike was like, hey, well, you might have the same issue with Rivian. And so we started doing this deep dive on this, and that's how we got.
No, he's right. I agree with Mike. I think that's honestly my 2 biggest complaints with Tesla and Rivian is that they think they need to do everything themselves. They want complete control over the software. They need to rebuild everything from the ground up that's already been built, and it's in our phones, and we're paying a monthly rate to have that data and to have that navigation in our phones. But then you get into this car and it's like, no, I need to build all of that all over again. We need to hire our own software team. We need to hire our own navigation services. And then in order to give you live traffic data and stop light, stop sign recognition and music streaming, we want you to pay us all over again. You're going to pay us a monthly fee after you're already paying a monthly fee for the phone. And I'm like, the monthly fee for the car is optional. For the phone, it's not really optional. Everybody's going to have a phone bill. I don't think that's going to disappear. If anything, it's just going to get worse. But especially with a company like Rivian, they're charging $15 a month for Connect Plus. That's to access features that my phone will already do. And, a lot of people on a service like Mint Mobile, they're paying $15 a month for their phone service. So if I switch to a Rivian and want to access all those things, it's doubling my phone bill just for the car to have its own navigation, which I think is dumb. I think it's a data collecting thing. They're like, we need to know how people are using, we need control over everything. So that's why I've been pushing for CarPlay and Android Auto, both for Aptera and Tello. Just like I think the phones are much, much easier to upgrade over time. Like,
sure,
as 7G, 8G becomes available, it's going to be much, much easier to just buy a new phone and just have a car that supports casting all of that data from your phone to the car, and that way you don't have to buy a whole new car or have to buy upgrades for the modems in the car and service them. That's where I
what
think
we're
it's
using
headed.
already, and it's what we're going to keep with us from car to car. So it makes total sense just to be able to pretty much plug and play wherever you go. It said the EV version of your dream, Drew, of being able to just plug in your phone into a monitor, and there you go. You got decks for you pretty much have a computer in your pocket for using the monitor or anything else. But in this case, it's with your phone. You plug it into your car, and there you go. It all routes from the phone into the car. The car is more of a shell for what the interface that your phone will provide.
And the EV route planning can be done with CarPlay. That's a very common misconception whenever I talk about this. I see in the comments, people are like, well, the car has to do the navigation because it has to plan for EV charging or battery preconditioning. I'm like, look it up. It's on the Mach-E. It's called EV routing in Apple Maps. Like, it's already, it's not some kind of special secret proprietary software stack that's like, if battery low, find charger. It's not some like only Tesla had this amazing neural net large language model algorithm to detect stop for a charger if battery low. Like, it's not a complicated. You can do it with a better route planner as well.
Well, even Mapbox was showing it as well.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, hey, your battery's low, detour in about 400 feet and use the blink charger. So,
and again, all the more reason to have a manual battery preconditioning button. Makes it a lot easier on the navigation software. If I could just tap a button that says precondition, which Tesla is so stubborn about. I can't believe that almost everybody else has that button except Tesla. It's ridiculous.
Tesla likes having more control.
Boo.
But I still don't. Yeah, I don't know what that would take away. That would give the customer more control, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that was me saying Tesla wants more control. They don't want to give the customer control.
But wouldn't like, okay, the scenario that comes up in my mind a lot is like we drive to like a friend's house that's kind of far away, and
never heard of
that. And we know, let's say after we leave our friend's house, the next day or after dinner or whatever, there's a supercharger nearby. So right after dinner or right after we hang out with our friends, we're going to go straight to the supercharger, which is only 5 minutes away. So if I could precondition the battery, because I'm like, okay, we're going to be heading out soon, precondition for fast charging from my phone, then it means I spend less time at the busy supercharger. It frees up more time for Tesla. That means there's more cars they charged, more vehicles that they get to collect money from. Wouldn't that benefit them?
No.
No.
Because it means then you probably press the preconditioned charger button wrong, and now it needs to go in for a service visit, which then their guys have to deal with it.
I thought they would like that.
And then as me and Randy have experienced with going to service centers recently, it just becomes a giant debacle where sometimes things get fixed, other times things don't. They have to try to get you a loaner. There's no loaners. The customer
You still have your loaner, Mike?
No, I had that for less than 24 hours.
I've always noticed they never want you to have a loaner for very long, which is a shame because that's always when I'm okay with them taking their time. It's like when they get a loaner out there.
It smelled like cat pee.
They rush it. I just like knowing it's not my car. And I'm putting miles on it.
Yeah, so I think in the group chat, and maybe I'll dig up the photo later, but pretty much there's cat paws all over the top of the Model 3. It was dusty, and there's cat paws all over it. I'm like, oh, that's strange, but whatever. And then you get into the car, and after about 20 minutes, you smell all the cat pee, and you think, I made a mistake choosing the Model 3. I should have just chosen one of their Model Ys, but oh well, that's me trying to branch out and try new things.
They didn't give Brittany an option. All they had was a Model 3, so they gave her.
They rarely give you options, in my experience. It's pretty much like
reserve, because Brittany asked about it when she returned it.
Here's a car.
they reserve the higher end ones for people who are
have higher end cars.
Actually, it's a first come first serve, but also they will give the higher end more the bit like the Model X's or even a Cybertruck. She said she saw Cybertrucks. That they will give the bigger ones to families, who have a higher turnaround. Like, hey, I need to go now. They got a big family, this, that, and the other. Whereas,
I'm
like,
a big family.
not, yeah, sure, but
Excuse me?
when they anyway, when you have the option, it's for them, at least the service center here is big families, and then people in uniform, military people who need to go back to work. They'll give it to them first because they're like, oh, you got to go back to base, and then all us plebeians get the leftovers, which is just
all you got to do is risk your life for this country, and everything gets so much easier. Jeez.
We used to be a proper country. Yeah. So anyway,
I think that's what they should do with all these inventory models. They should just have tons of loaner vehicles so that when they crank out a bunch of Teslas with service issues, then just give me a loaner. You can take as long as you want. If I have a loaner, I'm fine with that. I'm putting miles on some other car that wasn't going to sell anyway because everyone's waiting for the refresh. It's like, just flood the service centers with loaner cars, and then I'll drive that thing for a month while you get to mine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars sitting around on lots waiting for owners. Might as well use them.
Did you see the inventory discounts?
I have not. All I know of is Nick's crazy discount.
Oh yeah, well that's hard to beat. But the Model Ys in inventory
you guys were so salty, especially you, Drew. I saw the salt palpable on your tongue as the story unfolded. I
think it's totally valid. That man waited so long to buy a car and then finally got it, and he just bought it at the worst time possible for pricing. And then a year later, somehow Nick gets this amazing deal on pretty much.
Somehow he returned
a year or two later model and got like an amazing price on it. Like, it was just wrong place, wrong time. I think all three of us have been there with our car buying decisions.
Well, if it means that every year before this year was the wrong time, I guess yes.
No, because the one time I think we all agreed unanimously was the right time to get a Model Y was when they first had the standard range Model Y back in 2020, 2021? No, 2020, end of 2020. They had the standard range and then they discontinued that.
That battery would have degraded pretty badly, though. It was
whatever. We're not holding on to these things longer than 5 years. Nobody cares.
It was an NMC with 244 miles of range, so you can't charge it to full. And
at least it's not LFP.
Oh, I'm so glad I got LFP because I'm.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Drew? The fact that your trim has now been discontinued.
I'm
trash.
Understanding because the federal government, at least in the U.S., made it a terrible deal. There was no reason to keep making it with the way the tax credit and import tariffs were structured. Basically, they had upped the import tariffs recently for batteries built in China, which is where the LFP battery came from. Excuse me. And the $7,500 point of sale credit only applied to the nickel-based cells. So essentially, our government has structured it in a way to where LFP is actually more expensive than the long-range battery pack, which, if you're just looking from a material standpoint, that makes no sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But legally, yeah, I'm guessing nobody was buying it. I'm not surprised at all that they got rid of it because it was like, well, yeah, with the tax credit structure the way it is, there's no reason to keep offering it. I mean, the advantages of LFP go away if you have 360 something miles of range. And by the way, they did a real world range test with the dual motor long range refresh Model 3. It exceeded the EPA estimate.
Finally for once.
Yeah, no, the EPA standard is definitely more strict than it used to be. And Tesla is also actively trying to increase range. So the latest 70 mile per hour highway range test they did, it got 370 miles on the dual motor. So the single motor is only going to go further than that. How much further, we don't know. But keep in mind the EPA estimate for the dual motor was 340, and it got 370 at highway speed. So there's a decent chance the single motor long range Model 3, the cheapest Tesla you can buy, basically, which in my opinion is the best one, that one might do like 380 or 390 or something. We'll see. But I haven't seen someone do a true 100% 70 mile per hour range test yet. But I'll be watching. I'll be looking. It's incredible. It's a best deal in auto right now. Like if you're in the market, like you need a car today, it's very hard to beat that deal, in my opinion. Make sure you use someone's referral code. Doesn't have to be mine. Use anybody's. You get $1,000 off. You get the federal tax credit. It's a $34,000 vehicle with ventilated seats, great suspension, still very fast. 0 to 60 is under 5 seconds, and almost the same range as a gas car. Like, honestly, really, really hard deal to beat. It's an incredible value. I'm tempted. I'm very tempted.
Do it.
You already own one, Drew.
And
I know, but we need two.
Hey, man, I got
two. A lot for work.
Just do it. Just do it.
Just buy Randy's Model Y that's broken.
It's not broken. It's just pissing me off. I hate the thing.
Yeah, I keep reminding myself. I was actually just watching a video before the call started about how bad the paint quality is on the latest Model 3s.
Really?
Well,
how bad is it?
Well, it's from a detailer, and I'm like, detailers always find things that are wrong. So I don't know if it's that
They're
bad.
detail oriented.
Yeah, exactly. They put it under specific lighting, and they measure all the paint things. And I'm like, Randy's never done that. He doesn't know. Your paint could be horrible. You just covered it up. You have no idea.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked that all the 3s are still built in Fremont. But I think if you're like me, you're kind of like, it's going to age regardless. So if you're planning to resell it, then I suppose it makes sense to really preserve it and try to keep it in as best shape as possible. But that was never our intention. That was the whole point.
I'll try to resell it with
just
the wraps still on it.
That'd be good. I would probably do that as well. That would be wise. I'm trying to hit 1 million miles on my Model 3. I've got a long way to go. But hey, once it's a robotaxi, it should be a lot easier, right? I'll just send it out.
Once it's a robotaxi, actually, wait, hang on. We're not going to have another podcast before the event.
Oh God.
Can we talk about
the last
that?
one?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's 6 days away.
So Ronald McDonald's going to be there. Don't know if you.
That's going to be exciting.
Was that your Grok? Was that your Grok thing? Grok, whatever.
Grok? No, please call it Grok.
Whatever. Don't stop it. I'm fully Grok. That sounds inappropriate.
Full-throated.
I woke up this morning fully groked.
No, I guess Mike may not know because it was on Twitter, but
yeah,
McDonald's tweeted out an image of a to-go bag that said something that's not a Big Mac is coming, and the receipt on it has big bold 1010. Like it's very obvious. It's not like a zoom in and notice. It's like a very obvious like 1010. Something's coming October 10th. So a bunch of Tesla people are like, there's going to be a lot of people are convinced there's going to be some collaboration between the Tesla bot working.
God,
I think it's literally just McDonald's piggybacking off of the hype, and it has nothing to do with it. But
I think they're like, it's McRib is back one more time.
A lot of their stuff is already automated in a few locations. Okay, that was a loaded sentence. They have a few locations that are decently automated where you pretty much just grab your bag and go.
Do they have a robot to sit on every burger before it goes down?
I think
that's what they do at the manual
I was
location.
thinking with the Tesla seats where like you got the robot that like simulates hundreds of thousands of miles of sitting. They do that.
They put the burger in there. Because every time I get that burger, it's like been pancaked.
Yeah. It would be interesting if McDonald's and Tesla. You bring it up a lot, Drew, is that Tesla is pretty much the McDonald's of the auto industry, trying to reduce the cost as much as possible.
I say that?
And even not canceling, but removing the option to order a LFP Model 3 only shows that they're not in it for environmentally responsible reasons. They're in it for business reasons. Like LFP, in my opinion, is the way to go if you want to be a lot more conscious of the environment because it's got a longer life and
No
what was the
cobalt.
other thing? Yeah, no cobalt. That was the other thing. Thanks. And yet they're like, nah, this doesn't make any sense financial wise or business wise.
I'm
But
guessing just people weren't buying it, is my guess.
yeah,
personally.
So I think your equivalencing of these two companies might just be so on the dot, on bullseye, that could be collaborating for a robo-taxi that has a big old McDonald's sticker on it.
The McTesla. They did you see the one driving around the Warner Brothers lot?
No, the yellow one from a drone view that looked like it had a whole bunch of
I did see
cardboard
that one.
taped to it.
Yeah. It is
Yeah,
yellow.
I saw that.
The McTesla. That's the name. It's gonna. Each Tesla comes with $100 of McDonald's gift cards.
Hey,
I hate how much this marketing is working.
Dang.
I'm kind of craving one now. This isn't good. I hate you. I got to go out to the competitors. I'm going to Wendy's right after.
I'm gonna go get me a Dave single.
I was gonna say it's not the first time. You've got companies like Neuro and Domino's teaming up.
Cute.
Domino's has always been on like I don't know. They're like the Silicon Valley of pizzas. Like they're always like, look, you can order with your Xbox with voice commands,
with your Alexa fridge or how many other like Amazon related items that are smart that you can use.
No, but we definitely should do a predictions, expectations, because I forgot this is the last episode before the event.
I just realized that.
I was not invited by someone sent me their invite though.
Oh wow.
Is
that even legal
for you to use?
Not without committing fraud, but I'm debating. It might be worth it.
Okay.
No.
I'll find it.
Well, I guess in the realm of that, I also, while Drew is looking at the information, I wanted to give congrats to Zoox. They're also another Bay Area robo-taxi ride-hailing service, and they operate in Vegas, and they just made a partnership with the Vegas Golden Knights to pretty much have their taxis be a service for the community to take them to the T-Mobile, I believe it's the T-Mobile Arena, or maybe it's another arena, I forget. Anyways, you can go watch hockey and get a robo-taxi ride at the same time, in which there's a lot of Waymos in Vegas as well. I noticed a whole bunch of them.
Oh,
and so Zoox is definitely trying to get in, and having a team up with a hockey team there that has gained a whole bunch of publicity, I think will help them a lot.
All right.
But Drew has, let's see if I can do this right.
There it is.
Okay, so Drew has an invite from someone.
It says tickets are non-transferable. IDs will be checked upon arrival.
So you need to get this guy's ID as well, and then go. And then
his
maybe
he did offer it. Yeah. He did say, "I will send it. I will send you my ID."
Really?
But,
oh no!
I was like, "Sir, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not worth it. This is going to be a 45-minute late event. Elon's going to read the PowerPoint for the first time on stage.
Talk about the history of Tesla for the 4th or 5th time.
Right. He's going to talk about
he's going to bring up politics. It's going to be a whole thing.
He's going to look at those slides at the same time as us. He's going to be like, click. Oh, yeah. So it drives itself.
I think the thing that will really sell it for me is if it is cyber themed, like the Cybertruck. I think that'll win me over a little bit more, just because I like that design. And like we've said in podcasts before, I want to see that as more of a sub brand that they have under their umbrella, in which I'm very disappointed that we've only gotten one thing, even though it has had many controversies with it, especially with the most, I think, recent one being, it got a recall, and we discovered there's 27,000 of them on the road. And
it is a software update recall, though.
It's a software update recall, but it's nice to know that there's 27,000 of them. But even so, like, going all in on this design in different forms might not be a bad idea, because people
No.
like that very futuristic look.
You're right. Yeah, cyber cab. That's the word I heard at one point. I hope it's different and unique looking, but in the sake of efficiency rather than just different for the sake of different. That's what would be exciting to me. But yeah, my best case scenario is they are trying to make a super low cost, super efficient, affordable robotaxi, but end up discovering that the software is too difficult, so slap a steering wheel and pedals and then sell that for cheap. That's what I'm hoping for. We probably won't get it, but I can dream.
That'd be interesting. What about you, Randy? I believe me, Nick, and Drew talked about it in last week's podcast a little bit, but what's your thoughts and predictions on this robotaxi?
I was just checking the stock price right now to see how it's doing. It's good. It's all right. Not as good as last week, but it's good.
I almost sold last week. It was so close.
It didn't hit my number. It's close, but it didn't hit my number.
It was close enough.
At that point, I'm like, yeah, it's make or break next week. That like it's either going to do really.
Oh, it's going to break. I promise you. Every event,
it always drops. But then
I'm not saying buy shorts. I'm not saying buy shorts, but every event always lets down people's hype because the hype.
No,
is
I think people are selling off the hype. What happens is the people who are doing shorts, like they're selling the news. Buy rumors, sell news, and that's what's happening there. It happens to every Apple, every Tesla, every Google, everything. It will dip because people will short the stock. All right, now I'm cashing out. But I'm talking like a little bit long, like for the rest of the month, because once it drops, it does recalibrate, it stabilizes again. So it'll drop and then it adjusts. It does it all the time for these big companies. Always with Apple, always with Google, always with Tesla. And next week,
when will it adjust? It's been 2 years. I'm waiting.
That's funny because the one I'll join you.
That's the 2-year timeline.
Go to the 5-year timeline and watch how it goes up to over 1,400%.
Yeah. Well, that was all the.
We ignore that. We don't look at that data.
Not for me. You guys suck, but not for me. That's the one I look at. That's the one I'm gauging on. But I think next week. I know what I want to see, but with all the robot automation stuff they've been showing and everything after Cybertruck has always been bigger expectations than what they've delivered. And I don't think
battery day.
Literally. Battery day, the robots, AI
days.
AI day, the Cybertruck launch, the Gigafactory launch, like all that stuff. We know what the potential is in our mind, and I'm not even trying to be like, oh, because this is how Apple would do it. But I'm just saying, like, just comparing it to what Cybertruck did. I'm like, that's their new benchmark right there. And every year since, for the last 5 years, it has not done that. So I think we're going to be let down with showing things. But look at that, so funny. That's so funny. However, that looks nothing like
Matchbox car.
I just picture it like Wario inside, or Ronald McDonald driving around.
So bad.
Elon in the Wario suit.
That's funny.
Why are the back wheels bigger?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at.
The longer I look at it, the worse it becomes. Like
you're the person who's really into speculation, Drew, so you can go for days on it. I look at it and I think, oh, okay, it's cleverly disguised, and it's a prototype. I don't know why I'm looking at it anymore. I'll wait until the event.
All I know is it looks small, and I like small, so that got me interested. There's one door.
I know it defeats the whole purpose, but can we drive it? Like, that's
so
I want to drive
That's
it.
kind of my big yes or no question. Do you think there will be robo-taxi rides for attendees of the event, and will the rides be in a vehicle without a steering wheel or pedals? That's my big, like, will they, won't they kind of question.
I think it has to have, like, for legal reasons, it needs to have that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think there'll be a Tesla employee sitting there on the left side with pedals and a steering wheel, but it won't be touching anything, and there will be a course around the Warner Brothers lot that it'll take. And then
that's going to be so disappointing, though, don't you?
That's the point, Drew. What you have in your mind will always let you down.
I have to believe, though. Do you agree at least that Tesla themselves is ideally shooting for rides without a driver?
Yes.
We all agree that would be the coolest demo, like the one Waymo did with those little cars.
That would be so sick to just like, oh, hey, it shows up and there's only but like one sliding door that opens, and then you can walk in, and it feels like
2 people or 3 people at a time get in, and it's like it's going to take you on a
like a
ground subway,
right?
Yeah, like that.
Because like Mike is showing now, like there's so many companies that are already doing driverless rides. So if Tesla doesn't showcase at least a demo of a driverless ride, doesn't that put them substantially behind everybody else?
The thing is, Tesla, the thing about what you just saw right there and all these other companies, they got nothing to lose. They have everything to gain by being that dramatic and eccentric about it and being that stand out, because they're the ones who are behind trying to play cat. Tesla has to maintain what they have already established. You can't go that aggressive and risk it when you're sitting at the top. This is the integrative, minute upgrade cycle of an iPhone equivalent. Tesla can't get that daring with this. They can't afford it because they can lose market share. They will all the bad press, but all these little guys, I don't even know what that company was that you were showing.
Here's a different one.
That's my point. Nobody cares. I don't know what that name is. They mean nothing to me, but everybody knows Tesla. They can't risk it like that.
What about Wes in the back with a Xbox controller driving around the driverless?
What if they just throw a steel ball at it?
That would be my favorite event then. If they're throwing steel balls at things still, I would severely enjoy it. The last time
you just gave me an idea for a really good tweet.
Okay, good for you. I'm glad that you can tweet something on that site.
Franz at the next event has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. He's like gearing up.
He throws it right at the driver's side window where nobody's in it, and just like it cracks it so bad.
And then it keeps driving.
Oh my god. Vandalism.
Remember the delivery event where he threw the baseball?
That was so awful.
It was such a soft pitch, like
there were all the memes afterwards. They were like Model 3 durability test with the beach ball.
It breaks anyways.
Model Y, he's throwing a feather.
I can't believe they tried to do that. That was more embarrassing. I was like, it would have been better off if you just didn't do it at all than to do it with a baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a dainty throw too.
He's like, okay, you ready, guys?
Excuse me?
Okay, so Randy's expecting disappointment. So neither of you think there will be a driverless rider. I mean, a driverless ride is what you're telling me. You think there will be an autonomous ride with an employee supervising?
Yes. 100%.
In the car.
For insurance purposes, they have to.
I'm going to at least say there will be a manual override, but it'll be remote. I think that's what they were testing, that little McTesla leak that we saw driving around.
If we had only employees demoing it, I would say maybe nobody at all. But when you have people who are not employees of Tesla getting in these vehicles for insurance purposes, you need to have somebody in there.
if there's no steering wheel or pedals, then
there's going to be steering wheels and pedals. There's going to be steering wheels and pedals. There's no universe is there not going to be steering wheels.
There will be a steering wheel and pedals, but it's going to be on an Xbox controller.
To give you the benefit of the doubt, Drew,
up. It's not happening.
It is on the Warner Brothers lot. So if it is a quote unquote private lot, they're not going on city streets. I think.
Can I send you a picture, Mike?
No, I don't allow unsolicited pictures being sent.
Oh my God, it's so small.
I'm sending you guys a picture of the controller.
The controller?
Yeah, the ones that the engineers are going to use.
Okay.
Jesus, look at
Let
this.
me find it.
He texted it to us.
Yeah, that's the only way. I guess I could have shared my screen.
It's a pretty interesting one. Specifically, wow. I think they're getting a lot of inspiration from another company. That in which is currently going through an investigation to figure out what went wrong with their submarine.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
That's not the problem with this soap, by the way.
Why is it so pointy?
So that way you have finer controls.
Is it cold in that photo?
No, it's finer controls. This is something that can be put on other gaming controllers as well.
It looks cold.
I think so. Mike, you're defending me now. You're saying that
I was defending you, saying because it's on the Warner Brothers lot, they could get away with it as long as it stays on the Warner Brothers lot. And Warner Brothers said, yes, you can have your self-driving car drive around, even if it means that
Warner Brothers will not approve that. No.
There's other precautions for liability. You could have it never exceed like 20 miles an hour.
Warner Brothers is hosting an event. They are not. They are providing a place to.
I'm sure there's waivers.
Release liability and all that.
Sure, there is, but again, if it was the employees, it's different. But if you're gonna let journalists and whoever else do it, there's gonna have steering wheel. It's not the future you want it to be. I know what you want. I know you're still trying to be a child at heart. It's time to grow up. This is 2024. Trump is about to be president again. Grow up.
No.
So to steer away from that, I do see a circumstance.
No. Let's talk about my crappy Trump impression, Mike.
Where there is and is not a steering wheel in the vehicle. So I can see both happening.
Stop playing center.
I'm sorry, but that's where my mind goes. Is like it's on the Warner Brothers lot, so there is a waiving of liability clause right there for them to be able to omit steering and accelerating / decelerating features in it. But I also think on the realistic side, it makes total sense to include a steering wheel and pedals just in case something goes wrong
on the controller. But will there be a humanoid robot demo? Why do you think they're calling it We Robot and not, Cybercab unveil?
They'll have an update on the robot. I think that's it.
And the update will be
you're gonna have somebody dressed up in the robot sitting, acting like they're not driving.
It'll be Grimes. Grimes came back in the suit to drive the car.
I don't think she's too happy right now. But
I don't think any of them are too happy right now, but that's fine. The whole company board is gone at this point.
She's got to sell concert.
Oh yeah,
she'll just be right there. Just yeah.
There was a guy who dresses up as Tesla Bot at all the events. Maybe he's going,
and he will be driving, even though he'll actually.
I'm just imagining this like worst case scenario of the event. Like the yellow car we saw driving around isn't a disguise. That's just what it looks like. And then you have a person dressed up as the humanoid robot inside. This is a completely autonomous drive. And he's just He just has a little cutout at the floor with his feet, and he's like pushing the car around.
I got a photo.
To the moon.
I found a leaked photo of the Tesla event with an accurate rendition of the car.
This gives me heartburn.
For those listening, I brought up the picture from the UK Willy Wonka event where there's a sad Oompa Loompa giving people very small amounts of things and a giant chemistry.
It's the 4680 assembly line right there.
I believe they have that same face on that assembly line.
Beautiful.
Oh,
I hope you're excited.
It's another Tesla event, which makes me excited for hopefully. I mean, it's another Tesla event about a new product with potentially 3 to 4 wheels. We don't know how many wheels this thing has, even though that the quote unquote leaked yellow Matchbox vehicle shows 4. Again, could be smoke and mirrors. It
is refreshing that we're going into a pretty big company's event and we don't really know exactly what's going to happen, which is hard to find these days. So that's my final thought.
Yeah. Agreed.
Bye.
Bye.
We're just going to do that. All right. See y'all next week.